Today I want to go into detail with you about 9-stroke rolls. We're going to talk about how to play them, how to practice them, what kind of intention are we giving or listening to those rolls when we play them, how to apply them to musical phrase, and whether you're playing these 9-stroke rolls for the first time or whether you're an advanced drummer that has done many 9-stroke rolls, this video is going to have something for you. It's going to challenge you to think differently about your approach. We're going to approach things in a traditional rudimental way of learning and practicing, and it is the best way that I've found to grow your hands, to grow the development of your chops when you're drumming. So stick around, check it out, grab a practice pad if you want to try these things out while you watch, and let's start, all right? So 9-stroke rolls look something like this in music on a page. It's based on a quarter note, and you'll usually get something like that below it. That's telling us that we're starting on the right hand, we're ending on the right hand. You also will see this, starting on the left hand, ending on the left hand. Usually, almost always an accent on the end. And I would count this rhythm like this. It's going to be counted 1 E and a 2. So that's your counting. All right. That's the basics of the 9-stroke roll. When we play them, the sticks are going to bounce with an accent at the end. When we roll, it's an arm stroke. I don't really like to see a wrist only. Okay, that's going to hinder you in some ways as you start to develop. Rolls should be arm strokes. All right, so that's the basic sound and playing for a 9-stroke roll. So we're going to jump right in to a few exercises that you can use to help you develop these rolls even more. The first exercise is going to give you a background rhythm and then the roll. So the background rhythm is exactly what your hands and your arms do when you play the roll, and it's going to be followed by doing that same thing again but bouncing your sticks. So you'll see 16th notes, 1 E and a roll, 1 E and a roll, and we can repeat that over and over again. You'll notice with this exercise, it's always right hand first. 1 E and a roll, right, left, right, left, right. Okay, and it's going to loop that way. I'm going to put a metronome on so that we can keep ourselves honest with the tempo. Using this metronome, you can track your speeds and get faster and faster and know where you're at. So this is 80 beats per minute. Ready? Here we go. 1 E and a roll, 1 E and a roll. Okay, so some things to think about when you're doing this. This specific exercise, I'm not really putting an accent on the end of the roll, and that's intentional. I want the to be even and lifted. Right? They're not this. They're lifted. And that's because that's the same arm approach you're going to take when your sticks are bouncing. You're lifting the tips, you're pulling them out of the drum pad. And at this lower tempo, you're just going to lift a healthy lift as high as you can comfortably. So don't go Superman style. And don't stay too close to the pad either. We want to get a nice healthy lift. So we're going to try it again. I want you to think about those things this time when you hear it, is that there's really no accent. All the notes are as evenly spaced and as evenly dynamic volume-wise as you can. So same exercise, starting with the right hand to 80 beats per minute. 1 E and a. All right, let's bump it up So if you're building your speed, we're going to bump it up to 90. If this is too big of a jump for you, then go to 85, go to 81, 82, 83, whatever you need to make your bump up happen. So here's 92, right hand first. All right, so you'll notice my lift was a little smaller for 90. As you get faster, you're going to get closer to the pad. The next thing I want you to really think about as we bump up our speed here is the approach to the start of the roll. A lot of people will put a little bit of an emphasis, a little bit of an accent on the start of a 9-stroke roll, and it's sort of unintentional, right? Do you hear that little emphasis? Is because they're lifting the first hand and it's creating an accent, and they don't mean to do it, but it's happening and it's not correct. So if we have a good healthy lift for the 4/16 notes that precede the roll, we're going to keep that lift going into the roll, and notice the second hand of the roll right here. It comes up to the same height that the right hand started at. So that's a great way to set up the rest of the roll, is make sure that the first note of the roll is not being lifted higher than the rest of the notes of the roll. So let's bump it up. Here's 100 beats per minute, same exercise still. And now we have even more things to think about, even more intention to put into our roll. 1, 2, ready, go. All right, did you catch that? If you aren't catching it, then play a little slower, okay? That's totally okay. The more reps you put into it, the easier and smoother it will get. Here's 110 beats per minute. So we're staying closer to the pad now than even before, but we're still playing with a relaxed and healthy uplift motion. All right, so that's 110. When you're practicing, the more reps you put in, the more comfortable those things will get. Bump it up, see how fast you can get comfortably. But remember, when your sound quality starts to suffer, it usually means your technique is not good enough for that tempo yet. So slow it down, just get some more reps in. Keep that intention at the slower tempos, and it will transfer to the higher tempos, okay? The next way that we can do this exercise, I'm gonna go back down to 80, is with the left hand. Right, so it's the same exact exercise, but we're going to start it all with the left hand. So now we can really focus our energy on that. So here's 80 beats per minute. It's the same exercise. 1 E and a roll, 1 E and a roll, over and over again with the left hand start. And ready and go, and. Very nice. So everything that we talked about in the last round of exercises applies to this. The lift, the way we're not accenting, we're just getting a lift for each note, as well as the lift at the start of the roll. And put in some reps. Do 10, 15, 20. If you really want true progress, maybe do 50 at a time, and then take a little break. Here's 90 beats per minute. 1, 2, left hand, go. Okay, we're bumping it up. Try to keep that intention. So before you play, do a quick reminder of all the stuff you're thinking about, right? A good healthy lift on each 16th note, a even start with both hands of the roll as far as the height is concerned, right? An even height, and no accents yet. Okay. 2, ready, left. All right, one more just so we can be even on both hands. We're up to 110. So we're getting a little closer to the pad. And we're going to go from there. Ready? 2, and left hand starts. And. All right, not bad. We have another exercise coming up, and this one is sort of applying our roll to a more musical phrase. It's going to have rolls that alternate, but instead of straight alternating 16th notes, we're going to put it on paradiddles. So paradiddle roll, paradiddle roll. If you want to count the rolls mathematically, you could say paradiddle 2E and a, paradiddle 4E and a. But I really like saying paradiddle instead of 1E and a, 2E and a, 3E and a, 4E and a. There's a different inflection to paradiddle bop. There's a different musical approach. Okay. Historically, these rudiments were sort of taught verbally in that way. Instead of putting like a numerical counting system, they were taught by speaking the names. That's why many of them line up that way. So another difference with this exercise is there's an accent on the start of the paradiddle. Okay, so now as this loops, the roll is ending with an accent. So that's a different thing. That's going to be a new challenge. So let's see what happens. We're going to go down to 80. Here we go. And start with the right hand. 2, and ready, and go. E and up. All right, so adding that accent, it adds a different level of coordination, a different level of stick control, because now we have to go and keep it low after the accent. We also have to pick it up at the end of the roll to start the accent. So just a little extra upstroke, downstroke action. Let's see what happens as we get faster. Here's 90. Cool, so as you approach the roll, and you know you have to do a little lift to start that roll, don't let the diddle of the paradiddle start to crescendo. Just keep it flat and level. Okay, that's an exercise thing. Musically, you might choose someday to add a little bit of a swell on that. Something like that, you could decide to do that. But for the technical exercise of it, I want to know that you have the ability to keep it down. Because if you don't, then you aren't actually making a musical choice. You're just being forced by your lacking of ability to play a certain way. You want to make sure that you get to choose the music you make and that your hands have the ability to execute the music you want to make. So keep it low, keep it flat. Here's 90. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, 90, go. And very nice, we're bumping it up. Here's 100 now. 1, 2, right hand first, and. All right, we're bumping it up still. Here's 110. Get it in your head for a second. 1, 2, right hand first, and go, and. All right, nice job. Now, the final thing I want to talk about is how to do a breakdown for the 9-stroke roll. It is a traditional rudimental approach to do breakdowns for all of your rudiments. And the way it works is we start slow and we speed up to a fast speed, but that's going to be different for everybody. Okay, the goal is to make your fast speed get faster over time. But as soon as it starts to fall apart, that's the tippy top of your speed, and you're gonna come right back down a little bit. All right, and if that's, you know, for you, if your top speed is here, then that's okay. And as you do these other exercises, your rolls will get faster, and then eventually you can make your top speed higher with this breakdown. So let's start. Breakdown. Your hands are going to start up high like this. This is really sort of micromanaging your motion. With your arms up, you have to do an arm stroke, and that's what we want for rolls. We want the arm strokes to happen. So that would be a single 9-stroke roll at that tempo. And that's where we're going to start. Always bringing it up as high as you can. As you get faster, this comes down lower and lower and lower and lower. And then as you speed up, it comes up higher and higher and higher and higher. You can also do this playing matched grip. Okay? You don't have to use traditional grip to execute these things. If we did match grip, it would be like this. Traditional grip, this elbow comes in a little bit more, comes sort of up and across my body, because we want that stick to be parallel. It also helps give you a little bit of energy when this elbow comes out for the downstroke. Okay? So here's a 9-stroke roll breakdown. Slowly getting faster. Starting to transition from wrist strokes to bounce strokes. Shouldn't talk while I play. So lifting up as you slow down. And then ending again with those wrist strokes. All right. So doing these rudiment breakdowns like this, we're developing a very, very fine level of awareness with our hands. And it's really an upper level of stick control, because you're going from a huge arm stroke down to wrist strokes with a little bit of arm activating still. And then you get into bounce strokes and the wrists kind of goes away and the fingers start getting the majority of the control, with the arms being the primary motion. And it's just that transition and that smoothness of your playing that just really gives you a really good stick control and a really good level of just coordination. So if you're interested in hearing more rudiment breakdowns, Google the name Frank Arsenal. It might even be available in YouTube, but Frank Arsenal Rudiments, and you should find some recordings. I believe this was recorded in the 50s, and I think that to this day there's never been a better recording of rudiments and their breakdowns. And I'm not talking about the quality of the sound and the technology that they used for the production of the album, but I mean just the quality of the playing. It's, to me, by far the best versions, the best recordings ever made of these rudiments. So check them out. Challenge yourself. See what's possible. See what some other people have done. And you can start to maybe expand your thoughts of what is capable for you, because you are capable of it too. And these practice techniques and these exercises will help you get there. Okay? So if you're liking this video and other videos I've done, subscribe so you don't miss more. Put in the comments if you have any sorts of questions. My goal is to help you out. My goal is to help pass on these traditions that were taught to me to more people. So let me know how to help, and I'm here for you. Keep drumming, keep playing. Good luck. I'll see you next time.